Welcome to another session of Ask the Expert on Contingent Workforce Strategies LinkedIn group. We have an awesome topic today with a really good friend of mine. We're talking about working in a family business in the contingent workforce industry. And, as we're seeing in the staffing industry, in the contingent workforce industry, a lot of founders have founded it 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they're moving on and looking at the next generation. So we're here with Kara Hartzog from Innovative Employment Solution or Employee Solutions, IES.
You got it.
And I've gotten to know Kara over the years as a competitor, as a colleague, and a collaborator on certain opportunities, and has become a good friend of mine. So thank you, Kara, for coming on and talking about this topic. It's going to be an awesome one.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell me a little bit more about, the history of IES and your history of coming into the business, because, everybody has an interesting story in how we get into this business, and seems like you've grown up in it.
I have. I actually officially had my 17-year anniversary with IES a week or two ago. But I always say I've been in it since I was born. I literally was in a car seat behind my mom's desk as a newborn going to work with her. So it's been a unique journey, but one I wouldn't trade for anything. It started actually in the 50s in Denver, Colorado. My gramp started a staffing firm.
Wow.
And then early 70s, in 74, he sent her out to San Diego to open up a branch. I think he just wanted to be able to ski and go to the beach. So he had the mountains in Denver and the beach here in San Diego. And they worked together in the industry and the staffing business until he sold the Colorado one, I believe in the early 90s, late 80s. And she kept the staffing business here in San Diego. In 1998, she decided she didn't want to go through another recession as a staffing business owner and sold the business, but ended up just selling the staffing portion and kept back then we called it payrolling. Now the term is employer of record. And she had one client that had 60 million in spend at the time that we were set up nationwide to do business. And so she kept, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 employees from the old company and just kept the employer of record business, which has now, how many, 25 years later is turned into several hundred clients, a lot more than just one now global business. And I'm not sure she would have realized that or guessed that when she.
When did you said you were in the car seat, right, with your mom, but when did you start coming into the business? And I know you also have siblings, and how was that decision for you to start in the business? Did you do some internships to check it out, and then after graduation, how did that all happen that you came into the business?
It's funny. I don't think my sister or I ever wanted to be really in the business. I loved it. I was so proud of it, still am. But I worked there several summers. Actually, our CHRO that currently was my boss through a lot of those summers and taught me the world of recruiting. But I always wanted to be back east. So I went to school back east. I stayed back east. I had a great time, worked at a bank there and just went my own path. And actually, when I was in college, my mom called me and said, I'm selling the staffing firm. Do you want it? Because I won't sell. And I didn't care about the company. I was like, I care about my party next week. And I don't know if I want to own a staffing company later. But when she ended up keeping the payrolling piece, I think it was partly to see if maybe I changed my mind down the road, but it still worked for her. She had a great successor that was the president of the company that, was able to maintain the business and grow it. And I would say in 2006, maybe, I came back to San Diego after, being out on the East Coast for 10 years, maybe more. and started back in the business again as a customer service representative, and just thought, well, I needed a job. I'll see how this goes, and just kept going and kept going. And in 2013, I decided that I had another passion that I had to pursue, and I left the business. I was always consulting, but left primarily and moved back to the East Coast, started a business, realized that that passion was not for me anymore, and came back to the company. The president at the time offered me a job. I had to apply for it. It wasn't a given. That never has been how my family's operated. You know, you have to earn your position at the company, and he offered me a job, and I took it. And then he soon came to me and said, okay, you're back now. I don't want to be president anymore. It's now going to be your job soon. So so I didn't expect to be president of the company at this point in my career. It just happened. And my mom wasn't really even consulted on it. It was purely a business decision from his standpoint, and something that he wanted for his professional life.
And, you know, I know this is a tough question, but what are some of the pros and cons of working in a family business, right? I was in a family business, was not recruiting. My dad was a veterinarian. And so once again, I was in the business and helped out. And, you know, you had your summer jobs and things like that. But so there's that component of it. But, you know, what did you see that was the pros, and what are some of the cons?
You know, I think I'm in a unique situation in that my sister and I also never worked in the business together. She came in and came out a couple different times, but I was either at college, so when she did her high school work there, or when I was pursuing my other business, she came in for a short period of time. So there wasn't a sibling rivalry there, which I think was what helped. But my mom is also really been so confident in my ability that she's been very hands-off and would step in it if she needed to. But we've also approached it that you've got to earn your way. If you fail at a job, you will be fired. If you don't listen to your boss, you will be let go, and probably had tougher accountability than your average employee. And so that's always been our upbringing. I don't know that it's the same in others, but it's never been, oh, she's family, she gets this job. I've had to earn it. And so I don't know any different. I know a lot of staffing firm owners that have, multiple family members in their company, and they do not have the same story. There are, family feuds all the time. And so I've been very lucky that way. I would say one of the cons, though, is you never turn it off. It's at family dinner, it's your family vacations, it's when I'm babysitting my nieces, it comes up. Like it's always there. So it's a little bit harder to turn off sometimes, but I'm not sure I would have it any other way.
Yeah. And even though I was an entrepreneur as well, you never turn it off, even if the rest of your family doesn't really care about employer of record or payrolling services. It just is what it is.
That's true. I'm not sure if it was a family business or not, if it would be as different. You're still thinking about it at 3 a.m. just because you are, right?
Exactly. Hearing the story and looking at building out that infrastructure and more employees that your mom did at the time when they had to go to bid for their existing kind of largest client, and they probably brought in great people, and that it's an interesting dynamic where employees that are working away don't have the family name, let's call it, and they're looking for career development and to be motivated to go up the corporate ladder per se. How do you handle that within IES, and how has it been handled? I know you guys have done a great job of, you personally have, although you have the family name, you've worked your way all the way through. And I think that's a testament to what you guys have done. But, thinking about motivation and career planning, for even though there's ones that don't have the family name, how do you keep them within the family and move them into executive roles and keep them motivated?
Well, I think part of it is that, you know, we really truly try to treat our team, our staff as family. I mean, they really, from the bottom of my heart, are. And so, you know, we've always had a small family in numbers, but with our company, it's now, it feels like a large family. And so I hope that has carried over to them, and that they feel like part of that, and that as their, you know, parents, we everything we do has them at the forefront of our decisions, and what we try to accomplish at the company. That also being said, I think that I'm hoping that the team also sees that I'm not too proud to tap myself out. If I can't contribute anymore, or I don't feel like I can bring the value that others at the company can, then, you know, I'd be the first one to admit that, and talk through. I mean, that's actually happened as I was filling a role in our client services area, that it was just becoming too much. We needed to bring some outside skill in because the industry was changing so much, and I was not afraid to say that. And so we did, and there's several people at the company now that could really run it, and I rely on our executive team so much in all of our decisions that I think that they feel like they are a part of it. And I would say the other part to that is, I try to be as transparent as possible too. And so that they feel like they understand where their growth trajectory is, what the timing is. If we were ever even talking about selling, I would bring them into that so that they know, and they can ask questions and be a part of that process. So that's been our approach. You know, we would be nothing of a company if it weren't for the team that we had. And so you have to always keep that at the forefront, and, you know, treat them like they were my brother or sister. Or
Yeah.
mom.
No, that's an amazing culture, and you're an amazing leader. And, you know, it's also a good ownership mentality to say, you know what, I'm an owner of this business, and if I'm not the right person to run this, let's get the right people too, right? And then sometimes people forget that, especially in the family business, where if the family member is not the right person to run it, then bring in professional management to do that, because that's going to help your wealth creation and your equity grow, right? As opposed to hold it back. So, you know, thank you for your time. This has been an amazing conversation on, you know, working in a family business and some of the unique decisions that are made throughout as the companies grow, and people and siblings and family members come into the business. And so thank you. It's been so much fun, Kara.
Sometime over a drink, I'll really dive into some of the cons of a family business.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Perfect.